Good afternoon and hello, both Free Enterprise fans and Questing for Glory game committee. My name is Dathas. I'm here with Invenerable, and we have Cubs Rule and Alicel doing their game submission for Questing for Glory. How you doing this afternoon, Inven?
Oh, doing great. Excited to be in the booth today. Allie and Cubs are both fantastic folks and runners of this game, and they got a pretty fun flag set in store for the submission today.
Yeah, this was a time when I wasn't fully around, so I'm going to lean on your knowledge a little bit more about the Adamant Cups flags that we have here. They are the most interesting thing that I've seen. We were kind of talking about is that it's a max party of 4. It was a flag that was introduced around then, and it's something that I didn't personally play around with, and I haven't played around with much, but it's interesting because if correct me if I'm wrong, it also means that we don't get the double XP for any slingshot potential, correct?
Right. The because that only applies when you have a full team of 5. Traditionally in Free Enterprise, any 2 characters below the median level of the team by a sufficient amount start to get extra XP. You don't get that slingshot potential, so you tend to see less of some of the grinds that we've been familiar with in the past. But it's still a very high power flag set. Loot power is through the roof. You start with a loaded kit for knocking out those early fights, and standard shops means that all your favorite J items are going to be for sale in the late game. Uh, so it's high completion, but it's also high power, and even adamant armors are on in this one. Therefore, the name Adamant Cup, of course.
Yeah, and it's one of the first tournaments that we actually had all this going on. So while the racers are getting fully rated up, we're going to get Kane picked up. We're going to figure out what the second key item is and who our second character is. The big thing that I want to say for the game selection community is we can actually have a couple of bid war incentives going on too. There's your basics. We can choose the naming scheme. Not really one that's gone for, but the main 2 things that people like to go for are the big things we randomize in here. The end boss Romus, the sprite that he looks as well as if you see Objective 1, Complete Cave Magnus, there's a harp song that is played that by our lovely bard who is paired with us here, as a matter of fact. The Luca key is our starting key item, but yeah, as I was saying, Edward will play a random song to weaken a boss, and it can be anything that you want, something specific to a game, specific to the marathon, and it can be even a nice little bid war incentive. There's been a lot about those. Usually it's the Zeroma sprite is the big one, but those are the 2 ones that if you want something, it can be done.
Absolutely. Always fun to see what Scala Kitty and Xenocat come up with for those marathons. So if Free Enterprise is there, excited to see what options are on the table. Meanwhile, here we have lift off. Cubs heading straight to Evelyn Castle on these T Wildish flags. You're going to find a lot of good loot here. Not that our bard can really make use of that, but Kane has so many weapon options. We'll probably come across something pretty handy in this castle.
Absolutely. And while we don't have the Supersmith or the alternative to the Excalibur Forge on, that means that whatever the 2 items that there is, such as, oh wow, Magma Key. Well, there's underground access real quick. Opens up a whole lot. But while we won't have the ability to take the Adamant and the Legend Sword and make a random powerful weapon, we will have an Excalibur for that Cecil whenever we find him. Yeah, so Edward is his best weapon. There is the possibility of us finding a spoon so that he can equip that and be powerful. But aside from that, it's basically this is Kane. We're looking for an axe or even a dancing dagger at the very least to get started.
Absolutely. And Cubs there ran into a trap chest, and although we have a starting hourglass in our starting kit, loaded kit usually gives a few really powerful items. You still have to be able to get it out there before you can freeze all the enemies in time. So going to be dodging that one, dodging some others, and picking up what other loot we can find here. Protect Ring and Zeus Gauntlets, both very handy early. But still no actual Kane weapon, either in the Troya Public Treasury for Allie, or this first tower of Evelyn for Cubs. Where are the weapons?
You know what? The weapons were the friend. Hey, look, there's some. You can buy them over here in Troya. So, I mean, there's a mute dagger and there's a dwarf axe right there. So, there's some good stuff there. If you can find the money to fund it. But yeah, Cubs doing yet another dip here in Evelyn. There is so much. Hey, look, there it is. Kane can now officially do damage. Defense sword. Isn't that arguably his best weapon until like mid 60s.
Yeah, if you're not dealing, if you ignore weaknesses that you can hit with the white lance or the dragoon spear, this one's really nice because it has a higher accuracy than both of those. So every character gains a point of accuracy every 4 levels, so it takes a long time to make up that difference. So defense sword, kind of just, you can put it on and not really worry about anything else on your cane all game if you so choose.
Yeah, and the nice thing still about him is that with the flexibility that he has, like he can equip so many different weapons. As I said, sword, axe, dagger, spear. It's that ice brand that we just found there. If we ever find a Rubicante that we want in the root spot, so he can kind of run the gamut of different weapons, which makes him arguably one of the better characters. But there's the problem of is the fact that his weapons are generally weaker than Cecil's, meanwhile their stat growths are roughly the same, so he just shows up as less powerful. And hey, we saw Leviathan Orb on Ali's side, and there is Rydia, so we can make good use of the little kid caller.
Yeah, Rydia, of course, kind of a tricky character to use because apparently in the original game they just thought that summon magic was entirely too powerful. So they're kind of like two schools of thought with her in Free Enterprise. We see Cubs knocking her on the ground. She has the lowest starting agility, only character who comes at level 1, and thus manipulating the agility system in this game is a lot easier with that with Rydia having nap time. But, of course, like you said, Ali has an Elven Bow, which is +5 to black magic, has the Leviathan Orb. We may see two very different strategies with Rydia in this race today.
Yeah, and it's nice seeing the early game. And again, we have two different areas, and they got honestly, a lot of power. A bit of disparity in the defense sword versus the ice brand, but the simple fact that you have power going everywhere with our lovely Bard and our lovely Kid Caller, them being able to back up Kain, whereas Kain is the only one doing the damage right now. So it's that nice little interesting, yeah, Kain hits harder, but you have multiple damage threats on Ali's side. And again, you get Rydia a couple levels, and that Leviathan, yeah, you may only cast it a couple of times, but those times you cast it are going to wipe away whatever boss you find in the early game.
Yeah, and not just that, but we talked about the power that you can find early game here, and we saw Cubs with those trap chests in Eblin. It's a lot faster to wash away, 3 to 6 enemies with one casting of a spell than sitting there letting Kain hit one after the other after the other. So this may lead Ali to do more trap chests, which is where we can find those high tier weapons, the adamant armors in the sea. You won't find them in just any chest. So that may lead her into the trap chest territory.
Absolutely, yeah. We see Ali finding the little. Again, this is a little bit of the problem with some of the power in some of the sea Neki flag that comes on. You come with no armor. You come with the weapons the one weapon of a random tier, which can be better for certain characters, but there are a lot of characters that takes and says, well, I'm sorry, this power that you used to have, Edge, for example, he goes from your best starting character to mixed of, are you going to be the best or are you going to be a hindrance than anything else? Which is really interesting when you see characters go from pure powerhouses to, well, now you're just kind of a one-trick pony till we find something.
And speaking of more fights that Rydia with the Leviathan spell would be useful in, we do have the dolls down here. Not a whole lot of HP to chew through, and these starting Thor Rages look like they're going to chew through them in a hurry. But you see all these multi-part fights where it's like, a big meaty summon spell might be pretty handy here.
Yeah, and that's the little bit of a difference in early game. Like, you wouldn't mind just one boss so that Kain can beat them down. He's only got one person beating on him. Whereas, okay, so we're gonna go to the moon and see if we can't find a Cecil or a Fu. Wow, that Antlion Cave has honestly a lot of goodies. Artemis Bow, we have a Grimoire there too. Blitzwhip for that Rydia. Yeah, we've got some power here if you want to go looting for it.
Yeah, the Artemis Bow giving huge physical stat gains at the expense of magical ones. Very handy if you just need to, again, adjust the speed with which your characters act, or if you do want to convert any of your archers into a true powerhouse. Kind of a niche find. We'll see if Ali can leverage that. But meanwhile, just like you said, everywhere's open except for like hook-gated things. We have the Magma Key, we have the Darkness Crystal, and we have a whole lot of objectives here. How many of these are on the moon anyway?
Oh, looking on the moon, we have what, two of them directly on the moon with the Mirasame and the Ribbon Room, which would be where Pale Dim normally sits, and where the D Lunars, the two dragons spawn. So there's those ones that are right there, and really everything else could be pretty much anywhere. We have one that's guaranteed in the underground with the sealed cave, and the rest are here on the overworld. We could, in theory, only have to go to the moon just for the Ribbon Room and the Mirasame altar.
Yeah. Again, this is a high completion flag set. It's intended to give you kind of a broad tour of Free Enterprise. You're going to see moon bosses. You're usually not going to be in go mode, 15 minutes in. We're going to see a lot of fights, and we'll see again just how our runners utilize all the tools at their disposal. Although, admittedly, right now the tools are Kane and Edward kind of cleaning house over here on Allie's side. That bow putting in work.
And there's a little bit of the thing where if you don't fight enemy or beat enemies too fast, like the dolls, they can combine into these big dolls. But with enough damage that we have here, especially this Grimoire, it's going to be putting in the effort necessary to probably knock it down. Yeah, there we go. Whereas Cubs, finding something fun. We have some noodle arms here in Baron 1.
Yeah, and we saw that the character here in the inn was Palom, which, given that Cubs didn't find that Leviathan Orb, is probably going to seal Rydia's fate here. Popping one Siren underground if we find Sirens will get that Palom online in a hurry, learns Virus and Quake super quickly. But, this Vigan is taking no prisoners so far.
Yeah, and again, this is part of what we see, like some of the more difficult flags when you throw in Sineki and you don't get any gear for anybody, and you don't have the back row, for example, like Kane, for when he has less accuracy and less power. He's a strong character, yes, with a strong weapon. However, if he can't hit anything because of the penalties thrown onto back row characters, like, you get benefits. You can't take as much damage from the back, but you don't deal as much in the back either. And this is where we get a little funness. This is a character or a boss you're okay with seeing every once in a while, but in a punchy spot without any mage protection, not so much.
Yeah, the Asura will counter attack each of your attacks. We see Cubs putting up the double star veils to reflect her heal spells, but I'm worried about how hard she's going to punch here once he lands from this jump.
I think in the back row, with a little bit of the armor that he's got, it's not going to do that bad. The front row is where this sucks. But also, really interesting thing that I've always loved about the coding in Free Enterprise is that life spell, whereas it normally can hit anybody when you're casting it. Enemies can only target live characters. So, as much as nice as it is, Asura will never heal and bring up one of your own characters.
Yep, and Cub's gonna leave that for a better day. Allie takes down an inverse Fabul. Vanilla game, your Dark Knight gets walloped by a Dragoon. Here, other way around, we endure the dark waves and get an Adamant Rock. Forge, not an objective today, so just kind of adding to the key item count, not necessarily going to get immense value from them.
True, and when you say it's not a key item, there is the possibility if you find a Cecil here on the moon, where Cubs appears to be going with raising up the big whale, you get underground, you find yourself a Legend Sword. That could be very nice to just say, like, well, here's your power disparity. Trap chests have the possibility of finding you your Crystal Sword or your Excaliburs as well, but just to have one literally sitting in your back pocket is always nice as well.
Absolutely.
We also have Allie doing a little shopping percentage here, selling it pretty much as you can. And again, this is the part where it's like you have your 4 characters, but what are you going to keep considering what all you see? There's so many options, you still don't know what other free characters are around. So your party of 4 could be anything. We could go full mages, we could go not, we could go find bruisers and a white mage at some point.
And that is kind of one of the tricky things too about playing this high-powered T Wildish. That is Wildish treasures. You take the progressive treasure chest layout and you bump it all up a notch, and you find so much good stuff. But you're only going to have a party of 4. Who are you going to stick with? What are you sacrificing now to get your money? Whereas if you have a bunch of garbage, it's easy to just sell it all for the cash.
And the really nice thing is we don't have two of the more restrictive ones as C buy or character buy and permajoin or like permagon or anything like that. So there's no, so even if you say, okay, this character's gone, and then you find something nicer and later, it's like, well, I'll just take you right back. And that's always a little bonus. But Cubs, speaking of selling some money, finding a really nice bonus in those Bacchus wines. Berserk on the free cast? Yeah, I'll take that for someone like Kane who wants to just punch things all the way through the rest of the seed.
Yeah, and it would have been it's a little bit of a shame that Cubs didn't peek that Troya weapon shop when he was up there, because we mentioned Kane's weapon utility, but he does have one kind of small weakness compared to some of the other bruisers, and that's the only weapon that you can use to back row him is the Dwarf Axe. We have the back row glitch on. It's a vanilla glitch in the original game. If you set the back row bit, the game doesn't take it off. And Kane only has the one weapon that lets him do that, and scooted on right by it with it in the shop. So we'll see how that comes into play with Kane having to jump if he wants to do back row damage.
Also, do you see the cheekiness that Cubs is doing that I do? He is going to go check out this trap chest that's right here, or possibly look for it, throw on an hourglass so that it stops them all, and he's going to knock himself out some enemies, give himself a good infusion of XP.
Yeah, now we do see him pulling out the assassin knife here. I'm going to go double check it. I'm pretty sure that the prokaryotes and eukaryotes here have I think they have immunity to instant KO. Yeah, I just double checked it on the Free Enterprise wiki. So that assassin knife not actually going to get the job done here. Defense sword would be doing the higher damage. We'll see if the time investment here is worth the loot reward and the level reward.
True, but see, here's also the slight problem, and the nice thing about having these high HP characters. You'd think that some of them might be able to survive, and they can just barely survive here.
And here we go. The Bacchus one coming out, but again, I think that assassin knife is equipped. It's a low accuracy weapon for a chance of insta-death proccing, but will not be working on this particular foe.
Yeah, this is honestly like where we get like the bad news, where it's like, wait, why isn't this proccing? It's interesting because you think, oh, if this enemy isn't a boss, it should work on it, right? It's really, really neat when you see weapons like, but wait, why does this not work?
Yeah, and we do see the assassin knife coming back out again. Cubs thinking it's just an agility issue, which, we won't get into the weeds too much on this, but you can manipulate agility in this game at a high level to guarantee status effects proccing on your enemies, and to just guarantee that your team is going as fast as high-level foes, even when you're at relatively low levels. And that's what he's attempting to do here, but it's not the agility that's the problem here, it's the assassin knife not working on these enemies.
Yeah, and honestly, this is where I look at it and go, very much thankful for having someone like you here on commentary. I know enough to get me into trouble when it comes to agility and the shenanigans therein, but you very much know a whole bunch more of the technicalities here. Also, we do see that Cubs is taking your advice. He is taking off that assassin dagger just to make sure he was RA1, and is going to be doing all the work with this defense sword.
Good. Yeah, okay. He had it on for the +5 agility, and now we see bigger damage numbers. I like to see these 450s or so. Of course, no back row glitch means that your Zerker Kane attacking the pink ones here going to do a little less damage, but this won't take too long, and we're going to get a whole bunch of levels on Kane and Young, and, maybe some really fancy loot. I can't wait to see what's in the box.
More excited to see if we pull out, a crystal sword for the Cecil that we don't see within the remainder of this seed, because he's not going to be here. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, normally the normal gating on Free Enterprise means that Fusoya and Edge are restricted characters. You can't find them in the opening locations. You have to have a key item to unlock them. This flag set a little different. Fu and Cecil are the gated ones because it's so easy to find a really big Cecil weapon earlier. Yes, I just pronounced his name two different ways. That he's the one who gets restricted here instead of Edge. And woo, those levels.
And all that work just for an apple. I mean, Edward's going to like that because his HP growth is really poor, and if we want to keep him for later, that's great. Yeah. But yeah, that is a big investment, and that's just what we say about the trap chest. They do have the ability to go all the way up to those tier 8 items, and they are weighted there. However, as any one of us in the random community know, rando gonna rando, and that's just how she goes.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is there is a consolation prize here. Got a whole bunch of levels on Kayn and Yang. They're both well on their way to dishing out tons of physical damage to Seed, but you would have very much liked to have seen a bigger prize than just a silver apple plus 50 max HP, whichever character you pop it on.
And again, as much as we love to have this, hey, look, Leviathan, you sell the orb and it's right back there. And again, as much as we love to talk about things that are randomized in these games, that was something that was completely unrandomized that was in the underground chest. We have ourselves a rat tail in its vanilla location. I guess I really am just infecting these seeds as we joke around. We have different memes within the community. Vanilla finding is always one of the fun ones that people like to look for.
Yeah. But that's especially useful this time because one of our 7 objectives is to trade away the rat tail, so that's very handy. And, you know, I don't think Cubs peaked these Fame March fights when well, actually, Cubs hasn't even been underground yet, pardon me. Got the levels, wanted to pick up the Palom. But we do see a very free fight on the left and a very not free fight on the right down here. Ali gonna take on King Queen Evelyn here. You want to go over how this fight is gonna go? Very play cry and sorrow.
I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a little bit of fire. It's not going to do a whole bunch of damage, and then we're going to hear a little bit of a line about oh well, and then disappear.
Yeah. So basically a free key item reward, a boatload of experience for Ali, and definitely a. It's good to see this fight here. You like to see your freebies in the high-powered spots. Leviathan spot, very high physical damage. So having these two just casting Wimpy, Fire 2, and Fire 1 before they burn themselves out, kind of a relief. Kind of a relief. You know, there's at least this spot is not going to be giving you grief.
Yeah, and getting all that bonus experience there, very good. You even see like Yang go down because he's back in critical HP. A summon location giving you a summon orb, though.
I'm trying to decide which reward I find more lackluster, the Odin Sphere or the... Oh, Odin Sphere, another great speedrun game. Or the Silver Apple. Neither one very thrilling, but you know, what can you do? You got your levels. We can be thankful for the small victories.
That is very true. I mean, if you had to twist my arm and ask me, "Hey, look, a defense sword. Where are all our key items?"
I mean, we like a defense sword. You know, if you find, I mean, it's no holy sword, it's no Excal, it's no crystal sword, but you know, it'll get the job done if you do come across a Cecil. But also relevantly, you can sell that for a lot of money if you don't think you're going to need it. So. Not a bad reward, and we got Palom, which, again, if we find Sirens underground, will become very powerful very quickly.
Yeah, and that's the nice little bonus, is that Palom, again, crack a Siren, or even in Cub's point here, he could go do that King Queen Evelyn and get the free infusion experience, and just get I think, just about to Quake at that point, if not slightly behind it, and then just be solid for the rest of the underground.
Yep. And we do see that defense sword getting canned for 49,000 gold. You know, that's nearly another, stack of 10 Bacchus wines when we finally go back to the moon. If Sirens are for sale, that's a whole lot of levels if you want to get your grinding done early. That is one thing about this flag set, though, with how good the gear can be. There is kind of a counterbalance there. You know, do I want to spend my time just getting levels outright, or do I want to go for slower but bigger payoff trap chests if I high roll? So we'll see which route both our runners take today.
And again, that's always the interesting one. It's, as we've always loved to say here, it's no route is a wrong route. It's just the right route that you decide at the time. And that's one of my favorite things about Free Enterprise. It's until everything is confirmed, everything is the right choice. And even if it's the wrong choice, information, as a great line once said, data, 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 I cannot make bricks without clay.
You see, Ali, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I commented the exact same thing. Allie, just more of our freebies, because one of the other adages are check your objectives, check your freebies, and Allie is setting up, after having done Fabul Defense, is setting up the Sheila 1 check. Gonna go see what's there, but also go see what the Dwarves and Tomra have to sell, because, I mean, we could 100% find ourselves some Sirens and skip things for later.
Yeah, with S standard, these shops can sell hourglasses. You know, we got one of them in our starting kit. This will freeze non-boss fit enemies for pretty much as long as you need to. They last so long, it's very rare, unless you're just piddling around, that it will wear off in a fight. So this makes so many trap chests available for completion, and a handful of bosses as well, like those Dark Imps that we already saw back on Hobbs earlier.
Yeah, there's still, I think, 2 other bosses that we don't know about that could use some of those, as well as if you really wanted to be really greedy if we found Sirens, you could just hourglass those and have this Kain kind of do a bunch of damage, and this Palom, if he gets Quake in that time, have him Quake them down as well, so you can get a good infusion of experience if you know you're only getting a few hourglasses.
Yep.
Or a few Sirens, rather.
Yeah. And here we go. Cubs does see that fight on the left, takes a quick reset here. Didn't have a lot of Cure 2s. We're going to see a tent used here. Yeah, there we go. Heal up the team, get your free XP, get the Palom, the Quake Kid online, and going to have also the disappointing Odin Orb.
Again, you know what that is? That's an orb that you can sell for more of those hourglasses that we see in Troya. Or sorry, in Tomra.
Yeah.
But we see Allie has decided we're done with the underground, coming above, and is going to take another shot at this Baigan here. I'm really curious to see if she goes back for that Rydia, because again, we have the Leviathan Orb, and I do know that Rydia is one of her personal favorite characters, so if she can get the little, the Kid Mage online, she absolutely would.
Yeah. It is tricky, though, when we do see the Palom in here, just because of how easy it is to get Quake on him, which not as strong as Leviathan, but at the same time, higher HP growth and just overall a better XP curve. So there's also the possibility that if she is intent on using the Rydia for agility purposes in the long run, maybe thinking, I'll go get her when I'm ready. Don't need her yet. Let's just punch everything in the meantime.
And additionally, we do see the fact that there's the most important part of Free Enterprise. We did check the news, and it is in fact the fact that extra, Todd continues to smell.
Is that a reputable institution publishing that? Yeah.
Absolutely, it's the Barren Times, and how dare they lie of anything when it comes to the smelliness of one person or another.
And holy cow, the Edward on Allie's side doing work, just doing about 2,400 damage to this Asura. I believe that is a combination of Mute Arrow for anti-mage damage and the Artemis Bow for huge stat boosts. And Edward taking down this Baron infight. Kain, Yang, eat your hearts out.
What is it? Rule 2, the double tap? 2 hits, and there goes Asura. Yeah. With the Artie Bow, Mute Arrows, you don't mess around with Edward when he can actually get some good gear. His agility multiplier, like his strength might be low, but his agility multipliers puts him out very wide ahead of anybody else. But Allie also getting that defense sword, gonna let her Kain do a little bit more damage, while we have Cubs, again, having cleared that, got Odin, but still keeping the Kidia down, so very much committed to having her be your agility anchor for later.
Yeah, and we did see, by the way, shoutouts to everyone on the Restream team today. Psychonaut handling the Restream, and Scythe Marshall handling the tracking, and Scythe pointing out in chat, curious about Cubs' long-term plans here, because we've not seen a White Mage anywhere yet, and, usually you love a White Mage in Free Enterprise. You have your heals, you have your blinks, you have your Berserk spells, you have so many great options, but when you have a party size of 4, and you have all these great items you can pick up in stores to kind of duplicate White Mage effects, are you actually going to use them in the long run?
Yeah, at this point, with the characters that we have, especially with this Yang here, if there are Cure 3s anywhere, you could kind of just get away with him just doing the heavy lifting when it comes to healing. Even if you really wanted to, get a couple of levels on Rydia, and have her do some healing if you find Nasura orb. I'm a little bit more interested in the idea of keeping a healer as an overall, because you can have 3 Zerkers in the front, a healer at the back, and say, yep, this is how things are going to go. Protect me, squires.
And here's a cute item for sale. Speaking of our lack of a white mage, exit doors for sale in the Dwarf Castle item shop. We have no Cecil, no Tella, no Fu, no Porum, and, well, Rosa doesn't even get it unless you do Zot. And there's certain dungeons, like that required Cave Magnus, that you'd really like to be able to leave instantly instead of having to walk out of or warp out of. So that item could come into massive time saves for Cubs this run.
Yeah, the only way we have is a quick exit out of any other dungeons that are not the actual casting of exit is Rydia with this warp spell, so she can take us back 1 floor at a time. But that's the way we do it. Nothing here in the back of Pops. One of my favorite places to loot, because generally can roll some higher tier stuff. Nothing high tier. Unlike this Leviathan that just like surfs up my guys and is gonna wave out here while we find our first boss here in Dwarf Castle.
Yeah, we have some really cool divergence going on here. Cubs got all those levels from the cellular organisms on that Moontrap chest, plus the King Queen Evelyn fight, and has very good levels for tackling these Dwarf Castle things, not caring about the bull, neither runner currently seeming to care about ordeals, and just diving into the higher level stuff already. It's fun to see that, and that's this, when you have these high powered options, you can get some really creative routing going on instead of, following the traditional A to B to C, etc.
Yeah, because a lot of people think is like, okay, so we're gonna go to Antlion, and then to here, and then to here, and then to here. It's like, we haven't seen the basic routing through. Fabul being one of the early choices, yeah, one of the usual suspects, but with having access to pretty much the entirety of every area, as you said, minus those hook locations. Hello, free boss, by the way. Again, you love seeing the free bosses in the early locations.
Ooh, and this is an interesting choice. We do see Edge here, and Cubs is ditching Yang for him, but what Edge weapons have we even seen? We've seen an Assassin Knife. On Ali's side, we saw a Mute Knife for sale, but we've not seen any katanas. So this Edge choice is kind of interesting. I wonder if Cubs has seen something that maybe we overlooked. Maybe a weapon store selling ninja blades. We'll see what he does with this Edge here.
Yeah, and this is where we get again, as you mentioned, the interesting choices. It's Yang is one of those characters where if you pull nothing for him, give him some levels, he's gonna stop at an HP specific amount, but he will still do just fine with enough damage because his multipliers all come from his levels. Whereas Edge is one of those characters, yeah, he is very equipment dependent. You don't find anything better than, say, longswords on him. You're kind of just like utilizing you have a different version of Yang. He can also use claws. You can steal some stuff later on, and I think that might be the option, but...
Yeah, and Ali here, approaching Dwarf Castle, also spies those exit doors. Probably going to pick up a few of those. Again, we have no one who can cast the spell, and you don't want to have to walk out of the Lunar Subterrane. You don't want to walk out of Cave Magnus, so picking up a stack for her team as well. And what was that about the key items missing? Just an Hourglass 2 for beating Dwarf Castle. I mean, it's a great item, but we could buy those. We could just buy them.
Yeah, but you know what? The real experience was the edge we got along the way, so that we can go steal Sirens and we can go steal some Bacchus wines if we really want to. I mean, we can buy them both. We can buy one of them, but eh. So that means that our progression is firmly behind either Sheila, the Sheila 1 check, behind that Luca key, or somewhere on the moon, which we don't really have the power for right now.
Yeah, I think that Luca key is very tempting right now. We're already underground. We know that it's one of our objectives. There can be some nasty things on there. It's a spot with extremely high speed and extremely high magic power. But at the same time, that spot is always a little tempting to me just because everyone hates to do it. So it's one of those things that if you go there sooner, maybe you get a big payoff from it.
Cubs doing yet another interesting bit of looting here. I guess just wanted to see what he could find with a cheeky check. Again, high tier loot here in the Sylph Cave, but not really what you're wanting to go and find, I guess. But I Battle Speed 1, or sorry, Battle Speed 3, RA1, yeah, we can get some quakes off.
Yeah, Palom should be able to get Quake off before monsters do a single attack. Sometimes you need to have your anchor character, your one in the middle slot, awake as well to enter the queue. Battle Speed 3, let's see if this goes off in time. It does, it does. You don't want to be eating 6 Fire 2s before your Quake goes off, but boom, big XP, big money, big loot. Well, not big money. Good XP.
Let's see if we can get another apple out of this. Ooh, I'll take it.
At least we have stuff to throw with that edge now, if you don't want to slap it on Kain.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we didn't have the levels already, the utilizing of the white spear as an item is always very cheeky.
Hey,
oh, hey look, more spears to throw. Hey, Edge can actually do damage now.
I was worried about equipping Edge. My bad. He doesn't need equipment. You got that throw command. What more can you ask for?
Eat us, delete us, the enemies please us.
And of course, talking to this young in bed, kind of telegraphing that Cubs is going to finally go up to Fabul. We'll be equalizing on the Adamant Ore, and finally giving us a peek at Sheila 1. Ali talked to Yang, but I don't think she ever actually went back for the reward.
She did not. She's taking advantage of the whole underground. Yeah, you can set up Sheila 1, but there is some more stuff you can do underground, and it doesn't hurt to kind of clean up things so that it's not sitting in the back of your mind, because how many times have you ever done something like, say you faded Antlion, and then you're like, wait a minute, why am I missing? So my goodness, I forgot something, and there's where all your progression's been, and how far behind do you feel now?
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing about this, the seed today, of course, with that early darkness and early magma, you're not blocked anywhere. It's just a question of where you're going to eventually find the finishing touches. So lots of options. As you said earlier, not really any wrong decisions to be made here. With some interesting ones, we do see Ali also taking the edge over Yang. She does have a full moon chakram to apply that back row glitch at least and to get decent damage. But I want to see the Hanzo still. I want Ninja Blades. I want Murasames and Masamunes. Where are they hiding?
One of them is going to be hiding behind the Sheila 1 check. I'm just going to call that right now. Actually, it could, because we could get the Earth Crystal. The Earth Crystal could have all those goodies. Yeah, no one's really delved back into Eblan Castle. There's the entire of the right pillar to go through, as well as those trap chests. So there's a whole bunch of spots where we could find some Hanzo Steel for our poor boy.
Talking to royalty, side by side, vaguely, it's a long distance high five here. Cub's gonna be going up that left tower though. Let's see what Sheila has been hiding this entire time, because that magma key was a freebie at the start. You could have gotten this item first one in the game if you wanted to. Well, third one in the game, give or take.
What did I say? What did I say?
Sheila so
1 has the goods.
So good, so good. Masamune, of course, if you're not playing with the Final Fantasy IV advanced weapons, the best single weapon for Edge, like Ninja Blades and Murasames, kind of flip back and forth depending on your stat breakpoints. Masamune, always good. Slap that on you, boy. You will have a good time.
Absolutely, and we do love to see Edge being able to do some damage and being able to keep up with everybody else. We're seeing some good stuff here with the dwarves. I saw Bandana as well as something else, so more power onto these characters. But yeah, it's always nice when your key item that is not exactly what you're looking for is in fact something else, which is a nice bit of weapon and armor. And also, another thing we like to randomize, the Job Dwarf, as we like to call him. He used to be a farmer, now he's an air traffic controller.
You know, with all the airship traffic going around the underground these days, I'm glad they were practicing safety first. Very important. We do see... Oh, go ahead.
No, after yours is going to continue memeing.
Gotcha. We do see Ali making the keyless tower play here. Another fun little gamble that folks can make. If you have the tower key, you can do two major checks in here at once. If you don't have it though, or you're feeling frisky, you can always just run up here and do the fight at the top of Lower Babel, the vanilla Dr. Luge spot, and see what you get. If it's garbage, you can just reset all the way back to the bottom if you've left a save there, and sometimes you get big payouts. Cubs, meanwhile, looking for a little vengeance on these Elblin trap chests, seeing if we can fish out another bit of Hanzo steel, maybe an adamant armor. Lots of goodies available in here.
So one of my favorite things, I know there's a lot of people who like to talk about the Mad Ogre chest, like especially when it comes to experience or something. Hey, about that Iridia that's been on the ground.
Yeah.
Oh. Let's finish my thought before we laugh a little bit more about the Bahamut. That's always entertaining. When you're like, nah, Iridia is no good, and then all of a sudden we have probably one of the best things that we could have found for her. Well, Ali is going and either going to be stealing some sirens, or nope, just going to be knocking these poor alerts down. But as I was saying, the really interesting thing I think to me is that everyone talks about these Mad Ogres right here. Like, they're such great experience. The Black Cats are arguably better, especially if you're doing this same strategy. They have only about 800 HP, which is half the Mad Ogre HP. But they also give roughly the same, if not more, experience. So it's interesting that people sing such praises about them, but forget about the fact that other monsters give a lot of XP in these areas.
Yeah, I think ultimately it comes down to what kind of gear and equipment you have and everything. Like for the ogres, if I don't have an Hourglass, which here, problem solved, easy peasy. If you don't have that, it's nice because they are both mage type and giant type. So a rune ring or a Zeus gauntlet, various other things, even just, we don't have him yet, but a Cecil who can cover the team can nullify their damage so reliably. And the kitty cats are scary because if you don't one-shot them, if you don't have a way to neutralize them, they have that blaster counter that I think everyone's been hit by that, if not in this Final Fantasy, then in at least one of them. And I think there's just this weird aversion to the Quirrell type enemies, even if they are maybe the better option for your team setup.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we do see Cubs finding all three of these trap chests within quick back and forth, right through the sides. Nothing really to write home about. That glass hat's nice to see, but aside from that, we're gonna see if we go 3 for 3 on bad items, or if we're gonna get ourselves something really nice here.
No one on this team can wear it except for Baby Iridia, and I don't think Cubs intends to let her wake up and join the fray. Actually, no, he's completed Dwarf Castle. She can't equip it anymore. It's funny, if you equip the white shirt as a child, then do Dwarf Castle, it doesn't remove it from her, but once she does the class change, can't equip the white mage shirt anymore. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, she loses the ability to equip the white mage shirt, but she also gains the ability to... Hey, look, heroin robe, just as good. She does gain the ability to utilize the Zeus gauntlets, which is very entertaining to me when you think about it.
Oh yeah, Zeus gauntlet and a heroin robe, very fun combo on adult Iridia. Again, Cubs not really showcasing the variety. Iridia is a many splendored thing, but we're not really getting the full effect today. Wanting that agility manipulation clearly at the forefront of his strategy here.
Yeah, we could always swap out another character for, say, this Palom for a Yang later if we want to keep Iridia and let her blarg things. But yeah, as most people kind of look at her, and there are a couple of other admins who also agree in their community that say Iridia is good for one thing, and that is eating/keeping on the ground. A lot of people kind of follow that thought, and I'm one who's semi in agreement. Iridia is my favorite character outside of it, but I know within the world of Free Enterprise, she is... she could have been so much better.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes though, once you start playing harder seeds and harder flag sets, this is a very high-powered, high-completion one, but sometimes, there's certain flag sets that and mystery seeds that people in the community like to play where sometimes that's your only choice, and when you're forced into the situation for Iridia to get you through, say, certain trials that people host on the Discord, you're very thankful for her ability to do that. Meanwhile, do you like dragons on the moon? Except not on the moon.
I do like dragons on the moon, but what about whalers on the moon? Because we're gonna get them with these harpoons, and by harpoons I mean spears.
Yeah, we have Ali fighting the Pale Dim, traditionally fought at the Murasame altar. Cubs fighting the D Lunars, fought at the Ribbon altar. Hey, this actually kind of match up with the objectives we mentioned earlier. They're not in their home spots. One of these things is a far easier fight than the other. Pale Dim, I think, extremely obnoxious at this spot without us having any anti-dragon weaponry.
And not even that, just the lack of Bacchus wines. I know we've had some, so it makes it a little bit more of a pain, just because again, with all the slow, the doot doot doot, it is a counter to all physical hits. And while the War of Attrition is going to be won here by Ali, because Kain is taking 1 damage and is just going to be, doing his thing. We're just gonna be here for a while poor Pale Dim is just being beaten on from the 18,000 HP from Lugae and Balnab. That if you look on the left side of your screen, house here.
Everything is connected. We're when we're trying to solve the true crime. We have all the Polaroids up on the corkboard. It's one big conspiracy here.
Free Enterprise, as random as it is, we all know everything is completely connected, and board AI listens no matter what we all say about it. But yeah, as we see, poor Edge up there taking a little nap, but Kain is just going to be slowly but surely whittling down this poor dragon.
For what it's worth, this is very illustrative though of how relevant it is to either attack enemy weaknesses or guard against enemy strengths in terms of their subtypes. We see, I believe it's a Dragoon shield that Ali has on Kain, just completely neutralizing the physical damage here. But at the same time, if we had a Dragoon Lance or Artemis arrows, something to do ×4 damage here, we would be seeing far less slow counters.
Absolutely, and I believe the Artemis bow also. Hey, look, Twin Harp.
Hey.
That's some music. That is our first objective we can actually go and complete. And Mylon decided instead of being outside, he's gonna chill out inside. And yep, so long, Mylon. This is not gonna be a good time for you.
Yeah, only 1,000 HP at this spot, and of course, Mylon Z has several weaknesses. My favorite one is that it's weak to air-based attacks, because how do you make the Earth Fiend immune to Quake? You make it fly. It doesn't look like it's flying, but it's flying.
It's really entertaining when there's enemies that you don't think fly, and then you quake them, and you go, I'm sorry, what? Especially fish, for example, in one of the alt gauntlets. Those are ones that everyone kind of gets caught by at one point and go, I'm sorry, what's happening here?
As a kid, I thought that there are things in my life from, the ocean that I thought I would encounter far more in adulthood, like the notion of flying fish, the notion of electric eels, things like that. And then you grow up and you're like, the ocean is a deep and terrifying place. I want nothing to do with it. Anyway, how about that Earth Crystal?
That Earth Crystal is a really nice thing, because you know what that is? It gets to play everybody's favorite game, where we get to talk about a treasury for a little bit. But Cubs also gets to do, as I mentioned at the very top of the broadcast, the ability to get one of our few either bid wars or just an incentive, or again, thing that can be customized specifically for any marathon, where we get again a song from pop culture, different video games, or even just little memes that we want to do here and there. And they get done, sequenced by the current wonderful Xenocat, has done by Comlamity in the past. And again, there's almost more harp songs than Z sprites in the pool now, which really is impressive to me.
That is a body of work. Holy cow. But hey, we mentioned that T-Wildish Treasury. Ali's still not gotten that Masamune for Edge. Let's see if the Treasury here on T-Wildish, this place has ridiculous loot. There is a tier cap on this particular flag set, but come on, ninja weapons, let's go.
Grain Spear, all right, where's my Avenger? Hey, look, there's a ninja sword. We've got some good stuff so far. Healer out of 10 so far-ish. Inventory boss out of 10.
Yeah, when you're still not sure what you want your final team to look like, it's kind of tricky to know what you want to keep, know what you want to ditch.
And yeah, as we still see some characters like that we're not gonna find yet, or there's some locations we haven't checked. Like, for example, we're going to be going to check this Earth Crystal, so we're going to see what exactly is there. Some more Blitz Whips, some more Assassin Daggers. That's, I'm thinking I'm going to call that more of a 7 out of 10 for what we like to call. Good items for Edge to put him online. Okay healer stuff.
Yeah, the big thing I think is that if Ali finds a Rosa or a Porum up the tower, because we got the Life Staff and the White Shirt, both fantastic pieces of gear. Crystal Ring is great magic defense. So any White Mage we find is going to be kind of instantly online. We did finally get a decent weapon for Edge, but yeah, you know, Zai here could be a bit of a zonk at this rate, depending on what we find up at the top. It's not an objective, and Cubs, meanwhile, is looking very cozy with his party composition.
Yeah, and Ali honestly checking out some more of these chests here. I'm going to go for another trap chest. But while we're doing that, speaking of cozy, everyone cozy up. Grab yourself a nice good of headphones. Turn up the music. We're going to let our nice little DJ, Edward, give us a little bit of music. And we're going to see what today's harp song is.
And that's a pretty good reward. We had to complete the objective anyway, and we get the pass. Pass in the vanilla game, of course, just gets you access to a cool little pub and a fun little silly cutscene. For Enterprise, its utility is significantly higher. It allows us to not walk the moon for our final jaunt to Zeromus, unless we really want to. Opening instead the door in the Troya pub to take the back door to Zemus's lair.
Yeah, and that one, as you saw, was shown off by Cubs. That is Meridian Dance, one of the late themes / final boss themes from Secret of Mana, as was told by our chat as well. There's some really good music in some of the Secret of Mana areas. Ali has decided this is a Mylon. That is some spells we're going to go going on here. Walking away all of the little ads, and is going to kind of put this Mylon, the other half of the Mylon, down fairly quickly.
And we see Cubs flying over to Lower Babel as well. Now, I wonder if he is here for Siren Stealing. With these levels and with the remaining fights, you can probably get your levels without having to deal with that, and we don't have, you know... We do get a decent chunk of power if we bother getting Palom up to the nuke spell, but at the same time, feeling pretty strong as is.
Yeah, if he does take this Earth Crystal and checks the treasury, he's going to be in a very good power situation, as you've mentioned. And it's going to be an interesting call, but I kind of think with your three gentlemen kind of leading the way with Edge and Kane doing the slice. And hey, look, it's a French Vanilla Rosa. We have a healer to bail us out if we want.
Yeah, and again, with the loot we saw in the treasury, very appealing. Have the best White Mage stat stick in the game, the best White Mage stat shirt in the game, plenty of other good defensive gear to keep her standing until she gets caught up to the team in levels. Very tempted by the Rosa here.
Alternatively, may I interest you in the fact that we have an Artemis bow, we have a heroine robe, we have a strength ring, we have a bandana. Can I interest you in build an archer real quick?
I mean, you know, it just depends on what you want in that particular fight. I think with the arrow variety Ali's rocking, that is currently her best way of hitting weaknesses. And notably, Magus Sisters fight is left in the game. Odin's left, but I don't think we have lightning arrows. That would be a Thunderclaw kind of fight. But yeah, definitely some situations here where having either the White Mage or turn her into the Amazon, either one would pay off really nicely, and we do see that Rosa being added to the squad.
Yeah, the team we have here, I very much agree with the fact that she is just going to be there for what she is, which is going to be hit things, poke with stick, and then or heal things for the next little bit, and then maybe cast some good spells later on. Yeah, the gentlemen are going to be carried on. I do like the pairing here, where you've got yourself a nice little White Mage, you got yourself some Black Magic, and you got yourself 2 Bruisers to handle anything else. Val being in Baron, meaning you're not... I love Plague. Meaning you're not going to have to worry about that. And honestly, there's any other non-physical boss you really have to worry about. Maybe CPU later, but you got back row hitting from everybody else.
Yeah, because we have the jump command, we have a back row glitched edge, we have, I think, still a pretty good array of throwables on Ali's side as well. I think we got a couple more from the treasury. I saw a Drain Sphere at least that can help out with that fight, so some pretty good options on... Like you said, we have coverage for nearly anything that's gonna challenge the party at this point.
But why use Drain Spear for yeeting when you can use it for letting Kayn live forever?
You know, we were in the warm-up before we started the stream, we were talking about Drain Venger stats. Always remember, try to use Drain Sword, because the Drain Sphere's accuracy is 22. That is roughly 1 out of every 5 hits. It is, it hurts.
I have, in fact, so usually the Drain Venger strats, as we call it. So the Avenger has a bit of a glitch where it keeps the stats of the previous weapon you had equipped, but it still auto berserks you because you never actually input anything to update your equipment. So you gain the ability to drain with whatever attacks you're hitting while berserked. The Drain Sword has decent accuracy. The Drain Spear, on the other hand, even in the top slot, which gives you bonus accuracy, I have had a Kayn where I had Luke Baron Key, where I've had doing like about 2300 HP, and he still was just not able to drain up enough HP back, and he took Nuke into a big bang, and I kind of sat there and I looked at him and went, Kayn, please, you're embarrassing me.
But yeah, that Baron Key that's actually very, very good to see here. There was a little bit of worry that, you go up Keyless Tower of Babel, you get an Earth Crystal. Yeah, you get character checks, but Zot not an objective, and if that had not led to something like the Baron Key or the Hook, something that gets us an objective on the board, that would have been a significant and terrifying time loss for Ali. So great news, Baron Key absolutely required to do objective number 5, the Baron Basement Throne, and I was sweating for her, so glad to see that as the payoff.
The real reward is the exit we got on Rosa along the way. But as mentioned, there's a question in chat. Rosa really does not gain exit through anywhere else but Zot. Yeah, it is a flag that is given to her, as she does not gain the spell, no matter how many levels you give her, until after you have defeated where the Val Valis location is, and have her cast exit, or have a character cast exit in her space. Just some fun little vanilla behaviors.
Cubs and Ali each chasing a required objective here. Cubs feeling comfortable and confident enough to go on down to the Sealed Cave for objective number 2. And Ali will probably do the main throne first, just because then you can take your safety save outside before coming back in to see what actually is at that number 5 objective, the Basement Throne.
Now, normally a boss that is very punchy, Evil Wall is here. But that means the devs of Final Fantasy have decided they want to do some fun shenanigans in the fact that if they don't use a specific stat, you gain another stat instead, such as they throw up your magic really high in this spot, or also so that the crush spell that Evil Wall uses hits. Now, Inven, what would you like to see here as a commentator for the runners to have to find?
Well, I was going to say a Wyvern, because if you if there was no damage cap, Wyvern at the spot would actually do like 70,000 damage with Mega Nuke. But for the sake of our runners, I'll note that Ali has let that Rydia start standing. So I don't want there to be anything here that is exceedingly punishing on the speed front. I don't mind the magic front being punished, but not the speed front. Let's go with Magus Sisters here. I like Magus Sisters at the spot.
I'm a big fan of the Mega Sisters at just like high power spots in the first place, like the Masamune ult. Hey, look, see, I've called something, you've called something. This is wonderful. We are, in fact, been called witches before by being able to summon things into the fight. Yeah, you're about to watch a Fire 2 spell do some damage.
I think that Edge has a Protect Ring on. So,
he does, and
yeah.
Everything I said, just, you know what? Why do I say things?
Well, just Cubs getting a little fortunate there. Although, I will note that Cubs is working here to keep that Rydia down, but wanting to get the fight under control means that you can't necessarily devote your own time to doing that. There we go. Okay, Kamikaze queued up. Big damage, but the real reward was putting Rydia to sleep along the way.
Also, the fact that Odin is on the upper part of the throne, that's very entertaining. As mentioned, French vanilla, Odin and Kainazo. So basically, it's like, what is the king gonna flash to? It's flashing. Why is it not changing anything? Oh, that's why. Because it's just him.
Yeah, and we do see another key point there, Ali showcasing how great it is to attack weaknesses. Thunderclaw Edge, even though the Thunderclaw doesn't add base attack damage, does give you the ability to hit that Odin super weakness to Thunder, ×4 damage, just ripping him to shreds, and that is a Moon Mage right there.
This is where you kind of look and you go, you know what? Yeah, we can kind of keep him and swap out this poor Rydia. Reason being is his agility very easy to manipulate around. Everyone else's agility, not so much by comparison. And I do know that we have a crystal ring and a ninja hat, so we can get him to that mythical 28 agility.
Yeah, quick mention of, we're not getting into the weeds too much on agility today, but as far as breakpoints for the Zeromus fight, Zeromus is the same speed if your anchor character is anywhere from 1 to 27 agility. 28's the next breakpoint. You want to just be past the breakpoint instead of just below it, and being able to, just like you said, slap those 2 pieces of gear on Fu for a 28 agility anchor is going to make that fight a lot more manageable.
And thankfully, we don't have to go too deep in the shenanigans. All I know is that it is black magic to deal with anything that belongs with agility, and I am not a wizard. I am just a humble meme lord who loves me a Dragoon. But we do find something nice. That is a pan there for Ali, so she can knock out the entirety of almost all the last of the underground checks besides the tower key, really.
Yeah, and Ali did talk to Yang already, so burns a little bit of time there, but this will undoubtedly lead her to all 3 of those item rewards, and we'll get that nice little power bump on the edge with that Masamune.
Yeah, as again, the paired with the one ninja sword is always exactly what you want to see. Cub's doing a little bit of shopping and gonna clean out some of the inventory. I'm very curious to watch this Bahamut orb being sold because it is a big chunk of money. There it goes. That's just kind of burning a hole in your inventory, especially with that Odin and the Asura as well, because he's dedicated himself to keeping this poor Rydia down. So the summons are just kind of like, you know what, they're nice little holds on here. But Ali going to go down, going to find her first objective, and let's see an alt gauntlet here. Not just
Ew.
bomb.
Ew.
Yeah, I think this is less fun.
The big thing here is going to be getting in the damage quickly to make it stop punching before it takes down either of your heavy hitters. I don't think there's any chance of dealing with baby bombs here. I think having Fu at 1800 HP will no nuke, and we do have 2 very nice Zerkers on the front row, so I don't think we see the explosion. I don't think we see the baby bombs, as long as no one gets punched out before we get rolling.
Yeah, 1800 is the one just before he's at full power, so he has every single one of the spells. I think just the last level is just him learning, getting the extra HP, isn't it?
It is, unless you are playing with the J spells flag. There are 3 spells removed when the game was ported to the West. We do not have the protect and shell equivalents or the dispel equivalent, which is great because it doesn't really do anything anyway.
Right, all that really matters. But yeah, Cubs also fighting the inventory boss, even after just selling things. Again, there are so many goodies in here. We kind of know what our team's going to be, but there's just like, well, there's all these other fun things that I could be finding.
Yeah, we do see the life staff and the white shirt side by side if he does decide to go with the Rosa up the tower.
Dragoon armor always just good because the defense on that is very, very great. And we'd love to have Kayn be able to, take more than just a single hit. But Allie getting her first objective done. Baron Castle Basement also getting a spoon. So can we go back for that Edward real quick?
Yeah, the spoon in the vanilla game, just a throwable that you get for completing the Yang, Sheila, Pan, etc. quest chain, has 255 attack power. But Tella dubbed Edward, you spoony bard, and of course a fun little flag powers up the bard, lets him equip the spoon. Big attack power, turning him into the ultimate glass cannon. But are we going to go back for him when we have an edge who can also just throw it at a rude boss? I have my doubts.
Yeah, at this point now, as much as I would love to see an Edward, unless we'd found some more apples to kind of increase his HP, and especially with the lack of the double slingshot possibility, you're not going to be getting his levels up really quick. So yeah, as much as I'd love to see him here, he would have been your investment in the beginning parts.
And I will note also that with that pan and spoon, 3, 6, 9 key items, if either Sylphs or the second Sheila check gives a key item, Allie will have hit 10 and be receiving double XP going forward. So this party's power is about to go into overdrive.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to see what we get, like especially if we get a hook, because that kind of opens up pretty much the remainder of anything necessary. Like that'll give the rat tail there as well. That means Allie can kind of just run through the rest of these checks. The only thing kind of gating being the finding out where the sand ruby is, and at that point you kind of just go do Ribbon Room, go do Mirasame Altar, and then say, all right, did I find my sand ruby here? No, well, let's fight the rest of the moon until I find it.
Okay, and I want to say this is really cute. Earlier, Cubs bonked on that exact same spot near the underground exit, and then Allie also just bonked the airship on that exact same spot. It's always my favorite thing when on a restream, two racers do the same kind of funny thing. Like, oops! Some of my favorites are always the dude, where's my hovercraft? When both racers forget where they parked it. Of course, bonking in the same place is great, and also just sometimes running into the same blockading NPC.
Look, I don't want to talk a whole bunch about the fact that some of the NPCs, especially in Troya, are huge blockers and just evil things, but I'm just gonna say that right here. Yeah, the lady in the red dress outside of Troya on your way down, she is evil, and can we get a petition to? We got a petition to board to delete her real quick.
There are other randomizers that give you the ability to explode NPCs in your way. And also, I think Allie forgot that she had not done Sheila 1, because she just got the Masamune but did not return the pan. So the clock is now ticking on how long it takes her to realize that pan's still in my inventory. Wasn't I supposed to get rid of that when I returned to Yang's wife?
You know what, again... Wow, Allie actually finding something very nice there. So this is the other way that we can manipulate the agility in Cubs. I am officially rooting for Allie to win. How dare you get rid of our poor boy Kayn? But yeah, Allie has done the other side of the agility manipulation. Now, instead of giving Fu more agility, we can give him less with that curse ring. And that's a really, really nice find.
Yeah, the curse ring is such a powerful item. But again, on the standard shops, it can appear in any shop in the game. It can appear in ungated ones. It can roll into gated shops, and you don't want to have to go to every armor shop trying to hunt that down. So you either need to commit to manipulating your agility by what Cubs is doing, keeping Rydia down, for instance, or you luck into one and find it while looting and also solving your problem. So both good options. The difference here is that Allie's going to have 4 full-powered characters at the end. Cubs is going to have 3 plus poor little baby Rydia. Poor little baby Rydia.
I mean, he does still have to go. There is still a possibility. Actually, no, he will have to go through Baron at some point, which he'll probably do after he gets it from here from the Earth Crystal. So he might do, as we think, get rid of this Rydia for that Fu, and then we have the 4 full power characters. But I am still very disappointed in the fact that he got rid of that Kain. Man, mind you, like every person has their own characters that they like and that they don't like based upon, you know, things that have happened to them. Cubs is a very big proponent of the fact that he just does not like the betrayer in Kain. Because I will admit this, there are times where Kain, you want him to hit hard and he rolls low on damage, and you just kind of look and go, I'm sorry, my man, that's just how it goes.
Yeah, and I mean, for what it's worth, this Edge now is just so thrilled at the sheer number of throwables, Dragoon Lances, White Lances, Defense Swords, just hoarding all the throwable cutlery for himself now. But so it goes, so it goes. I think maybe if that Valvalis were not in Baron, and if we hadn't seen her yet, if maybe she was potentially at a nastier spot, we might have kept the Kain around, but yeah, it is clear sailing even without the Dragoon for Cubs.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kain, again, he has the very niche, again, of handling Valvalis specifically, and aside from that, he's kind of outlived where he kind of despairs almost everybody else on the combat level, and the fact that you have people with so many different items, so you don't have to really worry about a lot of the stuff we see. Whereas all these characters now are just looking for all these pretty things for them.
Yeah, I think Cubs never found that full moon that Allie did, so very happy to see this boomerang for sale in the Baron weapon shop. Edge is now back row glitched on Cubs' side. Can hit any enemy in the back row, can hit from the back row. That bit is set and is never coming off.
Yeah, that is a nice little bonus there. And yeah, I definitely see a bunch of selling here for some ethers, maybe. Yeah, just to make sure that your kids who sling some spells when you go to do the gauntlet that is the moon, in case you get low on MP, you won't have to worry about it. Allie, on the other hand, decides, hey, I'm going to take bosses. I'm going to just start throwing them into the microwave, and is nuking things left, right, and center when not quaking things.
Yeah, Fu is doing Fu Soya things. Kind of surprised though. Both Fu and Cecil are gated, but we've seen a lot of character checks. But we've not seen Cecil. But even if we had, we've not seen a really good weapon for him. Best one we've seen is the defense sword. So it's maybe kind of a relief that we've not run into the Paladin.
Yeah, without seeing where this legend sword is, this poor Cecil would have just been sitting here like, I've got a defense sword. I'm like Kain, only I can cover people. And let's hope that we go a little further down. And there we go. So she sees the pan now, hopefully. While she's doing the inventory sorting here. Hopefully realizes that she still has another check to go do. I kind of hope that the pan doesn't do anything. But again, this is what happens when you're doing races. Nerves happen. You forget, or you think, oh, I did this. And it's like, whoops. But no, we're going to get a nice little fight with the Mylon Zed, who's going to be either darted away or taken away in another different way, or even just nuked out.
I'm sure. I have a belief. It'll just be another silver apple, like Cubs got from the hairdryer chest up on the moon. So, not even to be worried about. The only detriment Allie's going to have to deal with is being down one inventory slot. That's all. Nothing else.
Hey, when you only have technically 41 inventory slots, you want that inventory slot.
That's true. That's true. Oh, the 3 chests here taunting Cubs with a silver apple. Like, hey, aren't you really glad about that trap chest reward? Like, for T Wildish, you expect to get some really good stuff, and this seed has been remarkably lackluster with the treasure chest payouts.
Yeah, as you mentioned, T Wildish, max tier 7 at that too. So like normally we can restrict the tiers a little bit lower than the 7, so you kind of have some stuff hidden behind key item rewards, and you find it like that. But no, this is just, hey, do you want some good stuff? It's here somewhere, we promise. And it's just, no.
Yeah. So no. Yeah. And again, these are adamant cup flags. Not seen a single adamant armor yet. The pink tail will give one guaranteed if we have the hook to go with it. Which we have to find the hook anyway. So it's just a question of when. One of my favorite things to see on this flag set is when you are doing your moon checks and you get, say, the ability to come back to the blue planet and get an adamant armor, but you're already at the bottom of the moon anyway. So you don't want to leave because you don't have to do the walk again. It's delightfully awkward. Let's put it that way.
Very much so. And Cub's deciding, yeah, I'm going to keep this poor Rydia down as an anchor, and is going and saying, no, I'm taking this Fu over the Quake Kid. Interesting. Again, not a bad call, because as we know, there are many different compositions when it comes to dealing with these parties and dealing with agilities and dealing with power. It's always interesting to see who chooses what.
Yeah. Fu versus Palam's an interesting choice because of the Fu has the utility going for him, right? He won't hit the same high damage that Palam will, but he has all the utility of a white mage. And if you are in go mode at level 45, you don't want to have to spend time getting those 7 extra levels on your Palam to get to nuke. You want to go get the job done now. And so Fu helps in that regard as well. We won't see, quad 9 nuke spells, but at the same time, we're not going to have to spend the time to get up to quad 9 nuke spells. But you know what I'm excited about?
The reprise of that banger of music from Secret of Mana?
Oh yeah, Meridian Dance is such a good song. Just to get extra nerdy with it while we're waiting for Edward to get it going. Back in the day on Winamp, you could rip the music out of Super Nintendo games and have it loop just like it would in the game. And I may have listened to Meridian Dance on loop for like at least 5 hours in my late teens. So let's do it for, about 50 seconds here while Ali kicks this Dark Elf butt.
I'm always here for a long loop of video games, especially with Winamp, because it really kicks. And with that, we have Antlion banished back down, pass with a quick access to the moon, where Antlion wants to go back to his home. And we do have the number 5 boss, or number 5 objective, done by both of our runners here, while we have a quick exit being cast to get the heck out of dodge, and by heck out of dodge, I mean out of this Cave Magnus.
Yep, both our racers have 10 key items. All their remaining battles will give double XP. As far as I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Cubs is up a sealed cave check, and otherwise they are neck and neck. Still a little worried about that pan check. I'm sure Cubs will show it to us, and I'm sure it'll be nothing of consequence. Definitely not a sand ruby or anything leading to a sand ruby or a hook or anything. I'm so nervous.
Put that evil out there, Ricky Bobby. It's the checks that we see here are going to be the more important. Allie's going to go find her Magus sisters, and again, we're going to get the runners fully clearing out the grounds that they've all been treading, because no one wants to go to the moon unless they absolutely have to. I mean, they will have to eventually for the other two objectives, but it's like, if we can just get everything else knocked out, get those two, and then kind of just run right down, that'd be nice, but...
Yeah, and I will say that I think we're going to see both our runners go moon before electing to fight the evil wall at the Asura spot. That's not a fun fight. It's super fast. It's super punchy. Evil Wall cheats by using a mechanism in the combat script called Start a Chain, which tells everyone else, stop. It's my turn. I'm doing what I want. You gotta wait. And so it's a very obnoxious fight. We know there's at least a couple of freebies still in the pool. Kaipo guards and Water Hag are both easy peasy. They could be in the moon. So I think we're gonna finally be diving into the lunar subterrane pretty soon here.
Also, hey, we found a holy sword for that Cecil, if we ever find him.
At this point, where can he even be? Yeah, well, okay. Package, Sand Ruby, Hook Route, Giant. I don't think either of our runners are walking down those paths.
I don't know. There's always a thing called check your packet. No, there's no D-Mist hiding behind package that has ever bit anybody before. But even if he is hiding there, we got our free item from Edward today, so it doesn't matter what D-Mist has hiding.
Yep. Allie gonna get that Dragoon Lance. Dragon-type enemies still left in the pool. Wyvern is out there somewhere. But I think other than that, or an alt gauntlet at certain spots on the moon, not going to necessarily get a lot of mileage out of that spear. And Cubs here is going fishing.
Okay, he's been looking for every single one of these key items here, and I'm a little here for this because this is a bold play, and just checking this, like, what can I find here for some of these trap chests? Ribbon? I mean, I'm okay with that, but again, when it comes to these item sets and the fact you have access to this large amount of items, I'm here for my inner loot goblin is being satiated right now. And hey, look, I'm Murasame.
Yeah, I mean, this is called, these flag sets are from the Adamant Cup. It just doesn't do it justice if you don't find at least one Adamant armor, right? So that's what Cubs has to be looking for now. We'll see if we can fish one up out of Sylph Cave.
Yeah, there is that possibility. Let's see if this trap chest can find one.
Another possibility is we never found sirens for sale, and it's kind of awkward to spend the time stealing sirens. So this could also be just a way to bring Rosa up to par before tackling all those moon fights, because she could still use a few more levels to get the bulk of her good spells.
Hey, look, more ninja blades. All these good items for your poor ninja here, finally being found. But yeah, still nothing that great for anybody else. I still want to see a crystal sword just be found, because you can't even throw that, which is my favorite part of it. Not an X-Cal, give me the crystal sword.
Close.
I said the word crystal, and it was almost there. It was almost right there. Yeah, Allie knocking down the big sister. Yeah, gonna be getting through the rest of this fight fairly easy.
And you know what's great? Perfect timing on it as well. Sandy tries to throw the virus spell off the wall on Cindy, but Cindy's gone. Cindy's gone, dealing 3,000 damage to Mindy. Thanks for the help.
Also, that's a big heads up from Cubs, knowing that the centipedes here have that little HP that he could quake them, or we could just do a...
There you go. There you go. Just have to be patient.
He could have used Quake to do damage to them, even though it's the same cast speed as Virus, but Virus is just enough to knock down. Oh, I'm sorry, I've been writing that for a little bit.
Yeah, and Virus is the faster spell as well. When there are just 2 enemies in here, like with these Malboros, you see that Quake's not going off quite in time, but everyone on this team has good status defense at this point. So, Bad Breath whiffs, and 44,000 more XP. Rose is getting up to snuff here.
Yeah, almost at the point where she's fine. No, why did we find the other yeetable one?
Okay, so we have Dragoon Lances, White Lances, Gungnir Lances, Drain Swords, Drain Spears, Excals. Edge is going to start a one-man circus, just juggling all the chainsaws all at the same time.
Can we throw on the World Series of Darts here on the Wacky Flag real quick, just so we can make use of all these weapons for the end of the fight? That way everybody gets to eat something. Hey, look, another bit of Alonzo Steel.
Still no adamant armors, though.
I am kind of impressed the fact that we've hit that well on the way things. He's not going to be going and checking the trap chest here too. This is bold, and I'm here for it. You know that you're 100% here for those. Yep, there's the Thunderclaw. He's going to go hunting for some more adamant armors.
Of course, the progressive treasures on T Wildish results in these alerts not having as high a chance of gear as the other spots. There's still a chance, but they're typically rendered a little weaker because if you have a good hammer, if you have a good bow and lightning arrows, if you have a Thunderclaw like we're about to see, there are lots of ways to do quadruple damage to these alerts.
Yeah, and it is really nice to see it is a great strategy for early on, like especially if you're like, okay, I want some good trapped items, but I don't know what I'm gonna find, and you have a Sid. Well, just throw a Berserk on him, and he generally can handle anything here with the high level stats and how strong those hammers are.
But meanwhile, though, Cub's loot goblining has given Allie the advantage again. Pen notwithstanding, she is the first one to be diving here into the LST, heading right to the Vanilla Murasame Altar, objective number 4. Let's see which boss is waiting her arrival.
Also, Cubs being, again, with the loot goblining, had a full inventory, so Edge was going to do failed steal until he utilized that one illusion.
So we are seeing some Siren stealing here. Wants a few more levels, maybe going all the way to Cure 4 on Rosa before going Moon.
Well, this is a free fight here at the Murasame Altar.
Yeah, did mention Water Hag and Kaipo Guards as the 2 big freebies still waiting out there. 3 hits, and this fight is done.
And this is going to be a big amount of experience here given to Allie, so no real need to steal some more Sirens for an extra grind. But we do just have ourselves a little Zeus Rage. This is the one that Allie found earlier, so no idea what else we find. I think, yeah, it's all Cubs was looking for.
Yeah, just a few Sirens, wants a few more levels, and then I bet we're going to see him joining her on the moon.
Bang, zoom, straight to the moon. Is that how the big whale sounds when it flies?
Don't think so. I wonder, that is a good question, though. What kind of sound does the big whale make? Does it actually make whale noises?
That is very interesting. If that's what happens, I'd be very curious. But we do see that the only reward from the Murasame, besides being objective number 4, is just the pink tail we found along the way.
That's kind of exciting, though, because we have to turn in the rat tail anyway, so we know we are going to get a hook before we beat the seed. Turn in both at once. We will finally see an adamant armor on the board at that point, with all its glorious associated qualities.
Interesting. Invent, you ran during the Adamant Cup era, correct?
No. I retired from tournament play 84 years ago. I think I did like one of the qualifiers, and I was like, I'm good. It's a lot more fun to watch for me than to race.
So from the ones that you saw, was there actually a lot of adamant armors just in general found, or was it one of those, you saw them here and there?
you know, it kind of depended on what the seed offered. Because, of course, if you get an early magma key and your underground shops are selling sirens, there's not a whole lot of reason to do more looting beyond that. You can just get your grind on, you can lean into mages, and or, you know, 1 or 2 characters with a good weapon. You don't need to go fishing. On the other hand, on hook routes, you'd usually see folks doing the entirety of Evelyn Castle, fishing up, you know, big Cecil swords, adamant armors, etc. So they definitely came into play, but at the same time, you have to read what your seed wants you to do and go towards that more than anything, I think.
Very true, very true. Also, I don't know if you saw on Cub's side, he turned in Sheila's check, and it looks like Ali is rewarded for not turning it in. That was just an apple there, so nothing you're ashamed of losing one way or the other.
Whew, good. That was going to be making me fret the entire time. The funniest thing, of course, would have been if Cubs had also not turned in the pan, and then we see both of them at the end trying to figure out what they forgot. Not the case today, though, but I am sure that has happened on many races throughout the history of Free Enterprise.
I don't want to talk about the fact that I've forgotten single checks, and it was something... It's worse when it's not even a key item gated check, it's just a check you completely forgot about because you're used to bypassing it. I may or may not have almost had a race taken from me by not checking Antland Cave, and it had one of my last objectives there, so I know all about literally last locationing because you forget about it.
Yeah, Antland Cave is real good about that.
Do you see what Cubs found?
I missed it. It was just a brief gander. I see him walking around, though. I'll get it on the rebound. How many hourglasses you got, Cubs? Did you buy a few extras?
Not enough.
Oh no, he has 12.
Oh, aw.
Okay. Well, aren't you glad you stole sirens?
So you had first grind. Here's your second grind. But yes, the Alt Gauntlet. The reason why we laugh is because it is unfortunately changed from what it is. Well, fortunately for us, because we get to be entertained. Unfortunately, because this is going to be a bit of a slog for Cubs. Instead of the regular 6 fights that it is in the Gauntlet, it is 5 fights taken from the enemies in the surrounding area. So we're going to find a whole bunch of goodies, one of which being a double Gold Dragon fight, which is what you siren up here for a lot of experience. So we're going to be getting some XP today.
And of course, all 5 fights at this location are hourglassable. There are other spots on the moon where you'll run into enemies with the boss bit, and that's when it gets really dicey and really exciting for those of us in the booth and those of you in chat. This one, a little more benign. Cubs not in any danger. It's a shame. We love to see the blue dragons and the fatal eyes and the behemoths and the evil masks, but you know, we take this too. We take it.
Yeah, the behemoths that take so long because they do counter every single attack. They seem like they're very fast. No, they just counter everything.
Ali, meanwhile, still working through this Ruby fight. Little scary. Spell power at this spot's no joke. Ruby will counter plain physical attacks with fire 2s. Does punch and double punch when the cape's not open. Glare will one-shot anyone not wearing an adamant armor, which is everyone. Everyone is not wearing an adamant. No one is. There's a logical error in that phrasing, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. So this is where you play a little bit of life roulette as well at some points, because you gotta hope that. Look, Fusoya just wants to cast spells, man. Like, why you gotta do this to him?
There is, of course, a fun part of Ruby's script that could be used here. If you cast a fire spell on Ruby, he will life 1 your entire team. He is allowed to direct life 1 your entire team, but Ali does seem intent on leaving that Rosa on the ground to anchor in the long run. So probably not going to be going for that option this time.
True. And we're hopefully going to get the nuke off before we get a glare, because this is exactly what you want to see. Some more damage. But honestly, I never knew about the life 1 part of the script.
It always feels really bad when you have to do it to make progression on a seed, but it's a fun thing to showcase when you're in the position to do so.
I'm gonna have to check that. Also, that is Ali getting a thing, another objective completed. There's our legend sword. So if we didn't know where that crystal sword in Excal was, we do have a sword for a Cecil that is currently not appearing in this seed.
Yeah. I mean, no one peeked the Sand Ruby bed. I, I can't see anyone walking down the hook route because we already found Bacchus wines. That's the main tier 5 shop item that we'd want to get. Maybe if you're really desperate, you want to go look for elixirs for sale, but I don't see that happening. So, not getting to see the Paladin going full power Zerking with Holy Swords today.
No, instead we had the Dragoon with the Holy Lance at one point. We have the Hanzo Steel being thrown around. We also have the scariest fight right now with how low HP we have on poor Edge and Rosa. This is going to take... Oh, well, thankfully it's food that they decide they want to go after, so we're just going to weak some characters, or some enemies, and get some more experience.
Yeah, we mentioned the racial resistances earlier. Crystal Ring on Fusoya, making these dragons not able to do much of anything. Very nice to see.
Things that are also very nice to see. This Kai Nazo, pretty much anywhere else, you're kind of happy with him here, though. That nuke cuts off a good chunk of what the opening wave is going to do, because I don't think we're going to have a... yeah, we're not going to have a lit to cancel it, but we are just... No, we're just going to brute force this.
Ooh, living dangerously, though. That Fu surviving with only 23 HP. Close one, but should be good to close this out. Even if Fu dies, no big deal. He comes at level 50. He has all his spells just from fighting bosses. So Fu dropping here is not the worst thing to happen to the team. You really just need levels on your front row at this point.
Yeah, you're wanting to see like some berserks go off, maybe. And there's so much HP that's been taking care of this this Kai Nazo that it doesn't matter what his wave's gonna be. You can just fight through it. This will maybe do about 600 damage tops, 500 maybe. Yeah, like Edge and Kayn kind of have it in the bag here.
Yeah. And chat pointing out the reward from K Bahamut was the package. Womp womp. Not an objective. It can't gate an objective because, like you said earlier, D-Miss doesn't have an item on this flag set. It's a freebie at Edward in the Bedward. But tons of XP, tons of money. I didn't see how many Bacchus Wines Cubs just bought there, but I assume it was an adequate...
Enough.
Yeah. Got the holiday season party to throw. All the eggnog of the moon. And about to be following Allie down here into the LST.
Wait, it's eggnog up here on the moon? I thought the moon is made of cheese, not eggs.
You know, it's all dairy. You know, all the lactose intolerant people, you know, just enduring the misery of the season together.
Yeah, and poor people who are lactose intolerant don't get to enjoy the joys of eggnog, so I've heard. But instead here we do have the wines from the dwarves made by the rabbits, depending on which fiction you go here.
The bunnies of the moon. You know, it's funny because if you look at the original sprite work, like you can still see it when you go talk to a naming way in the randomizer to change your name. I had no idea that was supposed to be a rabbit. I could not discern that sprite art to save my life. I didn't really know it was a rabbit until the 3D remake came out on the DS. I had no idea what these little hummingways were supposed to be.
Well, yeah, exactly, and that's what I thought too. I'm like, wait, why is it a rabbit? Was that what it's always supposed to have been? And it's very entertaining, especially if you play the
14?
critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV. I'm not going to continue that though. Where yeah, the naming ways come in later in, and you see them, and it's like, oh, well, the moon, hello. They really are just rabbits.
And Allie here kind of reaching a battle of attrition with this Kai Nazo, having a hard time getting through this last bit of HP, because the turtle will heal for 2800, then pop back out of the shell. I don't know if this is a situation where you need to combine a life potion and an elixir to get that Fu up and atom, ready to endure a wave, and chipping in with, you know, big spells. You know, you joke about when you play the vanilla games, oh, I don't need to use an elixir. What if there's another boss? Now is when you use your elixirs. Yes, good to see.
The boss. Yeah. Yeah, now is the boss where you cast that nuke and utilize the elixirs, because there's still a couple more in there for anything necessary. But Cubs is through that fight, gets the pink tail, and gets yet another objective on the board. That is 1, 2, 4, and 5 for both runners. Ali only having the ribbon room above him right now, and this lovely Kainazo grind because, oh man, is this, what is it, 10% of his HP that he recovers?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, 28,000 at the spot, healing 2,800 each time. That nuke will seal the deal. That is one of the rudest things that can happen in this game. You can sometimes just get into a pure softlock situation where you can't quite get it over the hump, but Ali does and gets the hook. Big payoff. That could be go mode. Do you save and go turn in the rat tail here, Dathis?
Oh, I'd be so sorely tempted. I would really want to, but I think considering you have two spots left on the moon, one being the Mirasame spot where you don't really have a desire to exit from, and the other being the Wyvern spot, which is really out of the way. I think you just finish up here. I really like the idea of save scumming it, and I think Ali's going to be on the side of save scum and come back.
Yeah, you can always just hit your reset button and reload. So what's the most awkward thing here? Rat tail to tower key that sends you over there before you reset back? Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Rat tail to tower key giving absolutely nothing, and just kind of like I'm so out of this.
Yeah. And our tracker Scythe Marshal pointing out that, you know, Cubs bought that huge stack of wine to get his Zerkers rolling out the gate. Ali with Rosa on the ground and Fu kind of pulling, you know, combo Black Mage, White Mage duty, not able to get the front row zerking up in a lot of these fights. So discretion may be the better part of Valor here.
Yeah, again, with the wines we've got going on, it's kind of just like, just go, take your drinks, get through these fights. Nothing is really scary for any auto attackers. We've seen all the ones. The only fight that would be a, quote, pain for your melees, again, is this one, but you can just kind of yeet your way through it.
Yeah, Cubs having ditched the cane has so much. 6,000 from a spear launch. Of course, it was tower key, by the way.
Oh, no.
Throw damage based on it's level times attack power, and this edge is 2,800 HP. That is a huge level for edge, thanks to that alt gauntlet and then the water hag fight. So all these darts doing so much work.
Yeah, and Cubs playing Life Roulette now is like, well, we don't want this glare to go off on somebody we don't want it to, so let's get poor Rosa back up and see what happens.
And Ellie does find our first adamant armor of the seed as well, which, again, if this tower key doesn't pay off, I guess you go ahead and go to Evil Wall while you're down here. We left the Evil Wall hanging because if you reset back to the moon, you're committing to redoing all those turn-ins as well. I think this is the play you have to make when you've made this gamble.
Yeah, I think it's and you can't even really save outside of this too, because it just puts you right there outside of it with the airship. So you're like, well, let's just keep flying now. So yeah, this is if this is nothing, this is always the harsh part where it's like, well, do we finish the moon or do we commit to a gamble? I like the gamble, and I know that Ali is one of the ones who likes to play that fortune favors the bold, and we have a bold play.
Most annoying boss to find here, Golbez, right?
Actually, Golbez is one of the most annoying ones left. Yang, not that much so.
Yeah.
I much think the actual worst fight here is the alt gauntlet, because you have to fight so many things. There's nothing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely one of those fights you just look and go, why? But why? Anything here that's not the alt gauntlet, Golbez, or even to a lesser extent Water Hag, because you have to sit through that script, is kind of just like hit and forget.
It's also one of those spots that's funny where if you're playing, so you can play standard boss resistances in Free Enterprise. You can also turn on no free bosses, which gives every enemy the boss bit. Ironically, turning this on makes some bosses easier at some points, like Water Hag. Water Hag there, with no free bosses, you just bop it for 600 damage, and there's no Ana cutscene to get through. So it's always funny to me when the harder flag actually makes things go a little faster.
Yeah, again, he makes a couple of, like, say, Dark Knight a little bit harder. It makes the King Queen Evelyn a little bit more annoying. But yeah, it just, you could fight like that, like, yeah, little joke.
And here we see the wine being poured. Edge going to go off to the races here. The team has more than enough HP to survive this wave. Cure 4 is coming out, and I think Cubs is going to make up a lot of time on this turtle fight compared to what Ali had to deal with.
Yeah, the Berserk plus the Thunderclaw doing big work here and keeping the Fu up, definitely adding in there. But it's going to be interesting. And what did we see? That is, yeah, it's a reset back up
Gauntlet,
to the moon.
yeah. Surprise! We didn't see a run on Evil Wall. We do have that one boss on the blue planet left, but resetting back, gonna commit to finishing off the moon before going to that. It will be funny if that Evil Wall we saw at like the 15-minute mark had the goods all along.
Could you imagine that's exactly where we have a where our Sand Ruby is? No one's gonna want to deal with that.
Yeah, now Cubs also gonna face the same temptation. Are we saves coming, or are we diving deeper?
Low elements. Yeah, this is actually a really interesting fight though, because we can just take this and reflect some spells, which it looks like Fu might be doing, and just see that we only have one single boss to fight.
Yeah, this is used to both speed up the Zeromus fight sometimes. A lot of enemies in this game, in the vanilla game, have HP refill counterscripts, but counterscripts don't activate from reflected damage. So by reflecting, you're not even going to see it turn into the Ruby form. The Mylon and the Ruby are one enemy. The Kenatsu and the Val are one enemy. And doing reflect strats here just means, well, we're not going to see any of those additional forms. It's just a glorified punch and curse machine.
With a chunk of HP to kind of tear through, a couple of nukes will get through it, no problem. And yeah, we see the punches. They do tickle, though.
Interesting, though. Cubs here electing to just go full Zerker. All of the direct outputted damage. You can sometimes get the kill if you just do the damage at the right moment, but I bet well, let's see.
Yep, it's just a little bit short, I think. So we could have a little bit faster of a fight here from Ali. But yeah, it's the joys of that poor Edge.
Yeah, this Masamune altar, the Ogopogo spot, has ridiculously high physical and magical attack. One of the rudest spots in the game for a variety of enemies. But Ali is through, still holding on to her lead. And just an X-Cal.
That's another fun dart.
Yeah, the fact that Cubs selected to stay here on the moon has made this a neck-and-neck race. Both runners looking just for one Sand Ruby to go, and they are neck and neck. I think with this warp spell animation, oh my gosh, look at this. Look at this. You'd love to see it.
Basically lockstep. You'd swear that if we didn't know any better, the two of them were in comms and they're making sure that everything was working out together. But we know that's not exactly what this is about. But yeah, again, as we see here, the runners going through, want to do a shout out to those who are doing the hard work behind the scenes, whereas you and I get to just chat here in Ven. You're a fantastic co-commentator, as always. I've got Psychonaut here doing the restream and making sure that everything's lit up properly and pretty. Is Scythe Marshall keeping all these objectives and all these key items lit up. So it is always a pleasure to work with a fantastic crew that we have here in Free Enterprise.
Blarg.
Looks like I infected the seed a little bit more than I expected.
What's great, though, is you know all those levels we talked about? Fu outright dodging the Mega Nuke. Rosa and Edge both surviving it. Edge not known for his immense magic defense. And Cubs is off to the races, tearing this dragon apart. That's nearly 4,000 damage a swing. Woo!
Fu's kind of like, what happened, guys?
Yeah, they don't give Wyvern that high a spell power, because in the vanilla game, you're not doing the agility shenanigans that we get to in the randomizer. So it's kind of expected that you're going to eat a Mega Nuke to the face to open the fight and then have to do a little bit of recovery. Which means, of course, when the boss is randomized to other spots and it opens with quad 9s, we tend to have to get a little more creative with it around here.
Just a wee little bit here. But yeah, so the lovely thing... Mirasame.
That's...
So that evil wall, eh?
That's actually, I think, really bad for Allie, because, yeah, we know Evil Wall has the goods now, 100%. But Allie didn't do Cave Bahamut yet, so she may be tempted to go do that and have to sit through that Alt Gauntlet before leaving the moon. Cubs, meanwhile, is probably going to get baited into the Rat Tail Tower keychain, so that'll give a little bit of time back to Allie. But, yeah, this is interesting where each racer is going to go to close out this finish now.
This looks like it's not quite be a 17 out of 17, although we know where the other one is, so we technically can classify it as it. But it does look like each runner is just gonna be like, yeah, we're gonna just full clear the seed here and having a good time. I think we're gonna see every boss spot, every key item, and Cubs kind of looking, where am I going?
Dude, where's my hovercraft? Where's my hovercraft, dude?
Hasn't even, it's like, still has to raise it.
This, I think, explains a little bit of why Cubs didn't save scum. I think that if you've not launched the hovercraft, it's very rough to the save scum because you know you're sitting through this cutscene as well. And if it doesn't pay out, you're doing this cutscene twice. So in retrospect, it makes a lot of sense of why each runner made their choice at that point.
Absolutely, we're really hoping. So this is the problem with Wyvern here, just in general, and the little bit of a bonus Cubs has versus Allie of those levels, because that is not what you want to see. Wyvern standard time, we are on battle speed 6, but just not getting the reflex off is a big thing, and I think she's probably like trying to reorganize the agility now to make sure people live.
Yeah, and as far as damage goes, did she ever actually get a Dragoon Lance? I think Cubs found like 3, but Allie might not have found a single one, and thus not having
one.
She did? Okay. Because having that, keeping Kain standing and getting that quadruple damage would be huge here, and that's why I'm kind of confused of why she's bringing in the Kain below full HP, because I think at the full 2652, he probably just survives this. Well, not with that roll. Ooh. That was a high roll.
One time we have a Fu get hit too. Holy.
I think you just got to take the reset ASAP there. Turning this into a battle of attrition heavily favors Wyvern at this point.
I think under BS6, this is where it does kind of still favor Allie in this aspect, because honestly, that one extra battle speed tick, we're seeing doing a whole bunch of numbers, whereas normally Allie would be a little bit behind in this. She's kind of keeping up now with Wyvern and can play a little bit of life roulette even too.
You're probably right. I was probably being a little pessimistic.
It's okay. The only bad part here is with Kain jumping, you're knocking to the 50-50 shot, and you kind of really want like both people here staying up.
Yeah. And again, our tracker coming in clutch. Allie did have a Dragoon Spear, but threw it back in the Ruby fight. So that explains where that is. Low on life potions, I believe has done a little over half of this Wyvern's HP.
And Edge surviving. Look at that 1400 damage.
There we go.
Right off. And again, get the little swing. And yeah, this is kind of good for Allie now. I think we're super good for there.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Gonna be sad to see the reward, but glad to be through the fight.
I'll take that experience on Allie's side right now, really. So I mean, that's the true reward along the way, as well as this Mirasame.
Yeah, just don't reset. Keep the XP. Get the heck out of here. And whatever you do not go to Cave Bahamut, in my humble opinion. I like this Rosa casting Exit with 0 HP. Having exactly 0 vitality from the Curse Ring means that she lifes up at 0 health and will insta-die as soon as anything else happens.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, the life for one spell in life pots restore you at 5 HP per point of vitality. So if you're at exactly 0 vitality through perfect curse ringage, yeah, the game gets funky with it.
So what happens if you say Rosa is the only person alive through one way or the other through this through that glitch, and you go into a battle, you just perish immediately?
I bet you do. I've not tried it myself, but I think that is the case. Yeah. And if you try to do it in combat, the character just doesn't get lifted up. And it's very depressing to see when you were hoping to life up a character for a battle of attrition, just to realize you have them at perfect, no, you don't get health on revive stats.
Really? Again, I've never seen a 0 vitality character get lifed up in the middle of combat. That's, again, the things you learn when you play enough free enterprise.
Yeah, it's so cool because, that's honestly one of my favorite things about this randomizer, and it's discovering all the things over the past, 4.5, 5 years that you just don't get to come across in the vanilla game, and getting to just see how all these systems interact, what shortcuts they took in programming to make things work, because, kind of a late port from NES to SNES, changing things up, at the last minute. So it's been a very fun ride, and yeah, very glad this game exists and all the fun we've got to have with it. I'm also glad Evil Wall exists, because we get to have a lot of fun with Evil Wall too. Although the adamant armor that Cubs has now, probably going to render this a little bit moot.
See, you say fun. I don't think you know what that word means.
Fun is beating up an enemy that is usually extremely rude, but you don't have a care in the world because your edge is dressed to the nines and ready to slay.
This is true. Also, we do have a ribbon on you as the Fusoya here, so one way or the other, there's going to be 0 issue in this fight.
Oh, no! It still has, I think that's the Thunderclaw. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So, losing a little bit of damage here. 23,000 HP to chew through, doing 3,000 at a time instead of the far larger numbers that Edge is capable of. But again, no danger here. Cubs is going to clear this fight and get that Sand Ruby pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's, again, no one's really in any danger here. This is more just like, well, now we're just gonna blitz this down as quick as possible because, well...
Yeah, and Allie, I don't think, has the benefit of the agility-anchored insta-hourglasses that Cubs had when he was doing this alt gauntlet. So, in a much riskier position versus this alt gauntlet through and through.
Yep. Again, little things where you have, again, an item or two here can make a difference or something like that, but Allie's still trucking along. I forgot that the Warlocks cast weak.
If they are the only one left on the field, they do that. They only do it when they're lonely. Come on, Allie. Remember, Evil Wall. Evil Wall awaits. The moon stinks. Get out of there.
The moon is now haunted. It is made out of cheese, and it is sticky cheese. All right, let's see who's been waiting for us all this time for us to wake them up.
I'm just going to say it. Cubs has a crystal sword and an adamant armor. I think you have a faster Zeromus fight if you add the Cecil to the team. And ditch maybe the Foo. with his Bacchus wine stacks? Come on, take the level 1 Cecil. Let's do this.
So you take the level 1 Cecil anyways, and you put him in as opposed to the Rydia, because he still works very well as an anchor at this point.
There you go.
Then you gave him the Crystal Sword, and you watch him do about 600 damage for about 3 swings until Zeromus big bangs and put him down.
Sadly, we don't get to see the level 1 Paladin doing impressive things with the right suite of gear, but Cubs set up very clean, tons of levels. Zeromus is in trouble. The only question is, are we going to see a pure Zerker, or are we going to see some hybrid strats here, I think?
Here's the question. I know that there is a way. I don't know if you know the setup off the top of your head, but isn't there a way that a level 1 Cecil can actually defeat Zeromus in the end?
Oh, yeah. There are a few community members who have done this on purpose. I remember one in particular did it with a full team of level 1 Cecils. Because, you give them all crystal swords, you give them adamant armor, Zeus gauntlets, etc. And then you make it a point to nerf every Big Bang, which we'll talk about nerfing Big Bangs in a moment. Full party of level 1 Cecils can definitely beat Zeromus, and I'm sure there are canny players out there in the community who could do it with a solo level 1 Cecil, as long as there's a friend on the team to anchor. So, the things you can do with potent enough gear, and the Cubs has no shortage of it here.
In fact, true. And speaking of things we can do, as mentioned again at the top of the broadcast, we can do one more bonus thing when it comes to marathons. It is the fact that we can change what Zeromus looks like as we're about to go and change him. We don't change his location, but we change how he's dressed. We can make him look anything akin to something going with the marathon, something going with a game that is highly based on it, something to the runners of incentive they want. And it can be a bid war back and forth. And this is fairly hotly contested in most marathons that it's been for. But the real question is, we have some Z flags out when we're going to see who Zeromus is dressed as this afternoon.
Crystal being the way you can transform. Hey, look! Level 1 Rydia coming in so clutch. Again, a little bit of agility shenanigans makes her go first in this fight if she is slow enough in that spot. And we get... Hey, it's a free Enterprise for you and for me.
You know what? We started with the Enterprise, and we're going to finish on the Enterprise.
Throw in that crystal for quad 9 damage. Queuing up a Silk Web here. What happens is that Zeromus takes a turn to set its spell power. But when it counterattacks magic with Nuke, it changes its spell power quickly because it's like, oh wait, that's too strong. I don't want to one-shot you with a Nuke. And it doesn't change it back if you do it at the right time. Which means that this outcoming Big Bang can do at most 1,200 damage to anyone. So Rydia, back to sleep. Everyone else rolling with it. Not a care in the world. And just one of those little skills that is heavily used in the randomizer.
Yeah, Rydia's done everything she needs to do. It's all good. And is that Cubs doing direct cast of nukes and whites? Oh no, I didn't see he got a wall up on Fu.
Yeah, so we're seeing hybrid strats here, I think. Yeah. Edge is zerking. If you are really cautious and really quick at counting, of course you can just do this manually and stop doing your direct attacks before you would tip and cause that HP refill. Again, it's a reaction script. Reaction scripts don't happen on reflected damage. But here, this team is so strong that just tearing through it, hybrid strats kind of get the job done just fine.
Yeah, this is where you have more than enough HP, more than enough power. Really want maybe you heal up this Rosa just to make sure she's fine, but I think the power coming out, we have such a good disparity. Maybe throw the elixir on Fu in just a minute because this is the last of his spells that he's going to cast. Yeah, we have a very, very solid run going on, and honestly, a very typical Zeromus fight, as we see as you mentioned, hybrid strats where you have both casters and berserkers doing their damage. I'm a big fan of where all 5 characters just shoot arrows or punch things because that's entertaining to me.
And yeah, and that is one thing about this flag set too. Like, you're not gonna, with how high completion it is and how high power the loot is, you see a lot of variety of strats along the way with a lot of different bosses. With the Zeromus fight, usually pretty clean, pretty safe. You're very unlikely with this flag set in a marathon going to have a whole bunch of total party wipes at Zeromus to have to redo it over and over. It's not like when you're doing a really marginal one where you're low power, you have barely enough to eke out the finish. So it's not like, you're going to end up going 20 minutes over estimate because, well, we bit off more than we could chew. Both teams very strong. Neither one of these runners is going to have any difficulty in that final fight.
Yeah, this is, as we see, it's going to be probably rocks, honestly, very soon. This is a team that just is pumping out that damage. Rosa with those quad 9s, Edge doing Crystal Sword, Cecil's level of damage. Oh, no, we got a nuke there. What is he doing? Just casting out, throwing everything that's left. The defense swords, everything here. because why not?
Here, rocks.
There's
I mean,
our rocks.
yeah. Oh, and it whiffed on everyone. Could not land the spell. The team is so well defended. We know there's less than 12,000 HP to go here. So just a little bit more, and we will see the flash and the crack boom.
And while the flash and the crack boom is in fact happening, we have Azuromas falling down. That is Cubs first finishing this lovely flag set with 2 hours, 1 minute, 44 seconds. That is Ali finishing the alt gauntlet and realizing, yep, that evil wall is next. Probably going to be a few minutes behind, but it is definitely what we like to see. Like I said, as we see in these flag sets, GG's to him. And we'll get him to talk a little bit about the seed afterwards if we want to get him in. But again, as you mentioned to the Questing for Glory team, this submission done by both Cubs Rule and Alicel. The race, as we see here, it does straight end when one person finishes. Both players finish as per their own choices, and they and again, we get to see the whole different things. Usually, we'll see similar strategies because whatever party members come in first are usually what's there. And again, we get a little bit more insight from the runners and any other incentives that are necessary.
Yeah, and we had great divergence there in the middle of the seed, both runners taking their own routes throughout the overworld and the underground to get powered up before deciding to tackle that moon. And, you know, Ali made some really great plays up there. I liked that she went straight for the objectives, but the levels and the money that Cubs got from doing that alt gauntlet and just committing to doing things methodically paid off huge. Got the tons of Baka Swine, very strong team. Rosa and Fu both playing support roles to Edge doing all that physical damage. And Ali's really clever. I love the leaving the moon to see if that rat tail comes into play. Because, you know, with how few items are left, that could have just been, boom, you're in go mode. And Ali's done 10 minutes ago. So it swings both ways. And it's always fun to see these close back and forth races.
Oh yeah, and that's the joys of the randomizer, especially when, like you mentioned, when we're down to our last 2-3 key items here, you just kind of go about and see, okay, this is what we're going to do here, and this is what we've got going on with this, with these key items. You could find anything and anything. It could even be nothing, as we've seen some of these fights that can go, well, there's nothing here. But speaking of nothing here, Ali's just going to go to this fight and is just going to say, we are very much done with these fights. Get them berserk going, and throw enemies into the blender.
Yep. Flipping off of the Mute Knife back to the Hanzo Steel. Evil Wall taking care of the Rosa situation, so Ali doesn't even need to concern herself. And now we're going to see these Zerkers tear through this 23,000 HP pretty quickly. We'll note that Ali didn't go back in and turn in those tails yet, so no adamant armor here, but I mean, 3,600 HP Kayn, 2,850 HP Edge. This wall, although extremely intimidating early in the seed, stands no chance versus these versus this party at this point.
Yeah, Edge taking 100-ish damage in the back row, Kayn just, and then the two of them kind of dipping out all the damage you can really ask for here. There is no worry whatsoever. Even Fu getting in some direct nukes here. This is exactly what you'd like to see. Yeah, evil wall. What wall? It is gone. And we are going to have Ali with the Sand Ruby to go turn in and then turn in the tail and then go fight us as Aromas. Or Enterprisemas, really.
Cubs, meanwhile, seems to be giving us an encore of something we may not have seen earlier in the seed. Ali does still have to, turn in both the Sand Ruby and the Rat Tail, kind of side by side, though, just a little south of each other to pick up that hovercraft and return it. Here we go. Hovercraft first this time.
But yeah, again, as mentioned, we want to thank anyone in the games community who is contemplating this game for Enterprise. Being a randomizer is one of our favorite ones to show off because the simple fact of you can also make these as easy or as hard as you want. So it is also great for community building in the aspect that you can show off any level of difficulty. These are some of the more high tier advanced tournament style flags. You can make this easier to the point where you have more power overwhelming as quick as possible. But again, it's just you see all the different levels of seeds and the higher to lower tiers of completions. As we've gotten here is a, as we call it, a 17 out of 17. Every single item being turned in and being found. There are some where you only do it in about four different key items at the very most. These objectives can be customized as high or as low as we wish.
But of course, today, very much wanting to show off the Twin Harp, because that's always a great thing to show off in your marathon, whatever other, fun games everyone likes and wants, oh, I want my favorite game to be showcased as part of this randomizer, either as Zroma sprites, but especially as the Twin Harp. Love the Twin Harp. It's always been my favorite thing. Fun little fact about the Twin Harp at that was that originally, when Boardface, the prime developer of Free Enterprise, was handing out seeds to the broader Final Fantasy IV community, did not mention that part. It was a surprise to everyone. Had talked about a lot of the other stuff being randomized, but Twin Harp was a special surprise from the get-go.
Also, Cubs doing another one of our cheeky little jokes. So the pink tail, which in the vanilla game gives you the adamant armor, here it is usually dropped from these pink puffs. But because we've changed it so that they're no longer here, what you can in fact find from these pink puffs are adamant armor drops themselves. So that's why Cubs is doing a little cheeky show off, see if we can't find yet another adamant armor, as well as kind of entertaining that he tried to have Fu cast a Quake, but they like to berserk everybody, so no Quake being cast, and we're just going to be punching him down the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, it is kind of funny that when the Pixel remaster of Final Fantasy IV came out earlier this year, or was it last year? It was earlier this year.
Last year?
Time is an artificial construct. I don't believe in it. But regardless, the pink tail drop was pretty rare. Nowhere near as rare as it is in the vanilla game. And they still did a patch to make it increase drop rate. They'd included it as a Chivo on the Pixel Remaster version. So you young whippersnappers don't know how hard we had it back in the day. Because pink puffs, if you're just hunting them down, 1 in 64 chance of the encounter, then you have to roll that you get a drop at all, and then you have to roll the pink tail drop. Getting this item in the vanilla game was... love yourself more. Don't do it in the vanilla game. Just don't.
Now, see, what's even worse, what's even better is the fact that each enemy has their own chance of dropping something. Let's talk about the 3D remaster, where it is one item drop period. So when someone rolls something, that's all that matters. So the Final Fantasy IV 3D, the DS version. So if, say, you had all 5 pink puffs decide they want to drop something different, but one pink puff drop would override everything. And that's always one thing that you kind of look and go, well, that could be unfortunate, because that could have been my pink tail that was here. Also, there is the mythical conversation that we talk about and joke around about on the Restream community here, that if there is a pink puff drop on stream, we shut down and end the Restream immediately and turn off the community. It has not happened on Restream. It has happened during community races off of stream. I don't know anybody in this booth who has done such a thing. That Ninja Star kind of gave me the heart attack, but
but here we go. Allie has equalized, caught up on the. It was just such a rude last location, by the way, because both our runners faded it, and Allie made some really cool plays that could have given her the huge advantage. And the game just said, no, we're going to put it in the last place both of you look. The last place either of you could look. But here she goes, going to be tearing into this Aromas fight. Has the double Zerker set up here, Kain and Edge. Don't know how many darts she has left, but with, again, these levels and this gear and that adamant armor, Zerking is going to just tear this starship apart.
Absolutely, yeah. We're going to see the darts, we're going to see the Zerks, as Cubs is currently still sitting on that Ninja Star as a haha gotcha kind of moment, which is one of my favorite ones. He's just like, don't play with us like that, because that could be a fun time, or it could be exactly what you don't want to see. The treasure pool in some of these bosses here, or some of these enemies here, very varied and always entertaining to see fun drops on streams. And again, speaking of drops, we see Zoroma's drop. And all sorts of damage left, right, and center.
5,600 damage from that edge right out the get-go. You love to see it.
I very much absolutely love damage being thrown out at that high level. Okay, well,
you know, when it rains, it pours, and poor Allie. That's so unfortunate. Gonna wait here for the Big Bang before throwing the high spot, but that was not the nuke target. Like, for one, for the counter nuke to hit Fu, and for it to do enough damage to tear through his 2100 HP with how well equipped he is, the board face AI is out for blood against Allie today.
As mentioned in chat, photon torpedo hitting Fu fairly hard. Yeah, Phaser's right behind it, to be completely honest.
But here we go. The team is up. The team is sturdy. HP looking good. Edge still well, low roll there. May have whiffed a hit or two, but still very strong. We should tip into the next phase before the next Big Bang comes out, so I like this burst going off on Kain.
I was always a fan of seeing Kain do some damage, to be honest.
The Big Bang does come out. Okay, Okay, that's more like it. Nothing above 2,000, please. Much appreciated, game. Depending on, so we mentioned earlier that a nerfed Big Bang can only do a max of 1,200 damage. Depending on where you are in this in the combat sequence, they can max out at 2,400 or 2,700. So seeing something that didn't even go to the 2,000 mark across the board here, very good to see. Allie's in great shape. Should be bringing this home pretty soon. Knock on wood.
That's true. We have seen a combo platter that is not that I have personally eaten during my Zerker strats, where we call it the Big Bang into Meteor, where you see this happen, it rolls high, and then it decides it wants to put down the rest of your fighters with a Meteor right after, and you just look and go, that's not fun, champ. And when it has that back-to-back is a never little fun combo platter. But it looks like we're gonna get a cure for. Please don't let me do this.
Combo platter. Okay, the Fu dodged. Okay,
Oh.
I think Allie had this one even if Fu got hit there, because Edge should just bring it home anyway. But Seed giving her no shortage of panic to the last minute. There she goes. What a great. You know, I talked at the beginning that this flag set is very high-powered and high completion, but at the same time, sometimes the game just has it out for you as well. But Allie dealing the final blow. GG's to her out in the chat, please. What a great flag set. What a great race.
Yeah, again, the little modified of the Adamant Cup, so we're always going to get Cave Magnus regardless. Again, just so we can show off that one flag, regardless of the music we have here. Again, the level of powers, and these two runners doing a fantastic showing here that we got to talk over. Again, those of you who are in the Questing for Glory Games Committee, we want to thank you very much for watching this and vetting this, and seeing that we will have a seed vetted for specific times, level of completion, or level of memory if absolutely necessary. We don't just like take the random seeds as it gone there. We can have a specific time if they want to hit within a specific brand. We can make it so that it would be seen within there. So marathon times for us usually roughly within, because we the community as a whole kind of knows what runners can do. So timing as close as we like to get it, we can generally get it within about what the estimates are.
So yeah, again, great flag set for showcasing the game. You're going to see a lot of bosses, a lot of equipment, a variety in strats and routing. You're not going to have two runners run the seat the exact same way. So very fun flag set. We hope you'll consider it. And yeah, we love Free Enterprise and we love showing it off. Great community to be a part of. Anyway, that's about all from us for today. But chat, we're not going to leave y'all hanging. We'll get y'all some more Free Enterprise action going on. Dathis, where would you like to go today?
So we're going to send these to our lovely fun friends of Engie Dave. They are running the Film Friends, one of our clubs that we have going on within Free Enterprise. We have, again, besides the races, we also have club season going on where different clubs to do different tiers, different levels of Free Enterprise. So we're going to send our friends there. And again, once more, Questing for Glory, thank you very much for considering this game. And we do hope that you choose to showcase Free Enterprise and showcase these wonderful runners in Cubs, Rule, and Alley. For the interim, my name is Dathas. I was joined here by Invent, my fellow co-coms, Psychonaut as our restreamer who rolled this wonderful seed, and Scythe Marshall doing our tracking. Big shout outs to them. And again, big shout outs to you, Invent.
Hey, thanks everyone for coming out. Y'all have a good rest of your weekend.